Alright, what is up everybody? Shadow Scout 0013 here coming in with another unit video. This time we're going to be talking about Yoda and a few of the changes that were made to him, so that way people can kind of understand it and remember it a little bit better. And I've got a few list ideas, I think about 5 or so, so bear with me when we go over with them, but hopefully you get some really fun and cool ideas. And if you already have even more ideas, feel free to post them in the comments down below for other people, and just to kind of let me know, give me even more ideas. But first, just for a few housekeeping things, let's go to the Discord, where if you want to join up and sign up, you can. Absolutely free. You can start posting your lists, asking questions. We've got the DDR Penguin here guy who's talking about Veers and the Inquisitors, which I really like because of the Imperial Discipline, being able to get them a free recover and allowing them to kind of use a force slot that can kind of be recovered. So like force choke and force reflexes, and even like this, the little idea that I had was that you can swap out force choke from the brother to the sister and put force reflexes on the brother, because the brother, anytime that he gains a token, she gains the opposite token. So that way, if you had force reflexes on him, it'll give her an aim, and then he can even take a dodge and then move into something, giving her 2 aims, and then she's got charge, so then she can double move, and then giving her force choke, because then she's probably going to be getting into melee more often, or a little bit easier, I should say, as well, and then using that force choke, and then you can use Imperial Discipline to give Veers and both of them in order so that they can recover, and do that whole same thing again, even adding maybe some IRG, because IRG have Guardian, so with Guardian, since they have it, they can use backup, so they can back up the brother and the sister, and then also Guardian, and then charge. So there's a lot of cool, fun stuff that you can do. So if you've got any questions, or you've got ideas, feel free to post them in the Legion faction lists, and if you're going to tournaments, feel free to post them. Yeah, so the Discord's a very fun place. If you want, you can also head to the Clan of Shadows Patreon, which is in the description down below. This kind of helps with the giveaways. And speaking of giveaway, we've got one for $25 going on right now. That'll be announced around Valentine's Day. And yeah, you subscribing really, really helps. And hopefully in the future, probably later this year, I'll be able to try to do more online games. And so if you want to submit lists where I can play them, I'm going to try to work all that out. This is also going to help with a website that we're working on to be able to give you some more, like, hopefully some tournament results. So do like a little tournament corner where we just kind of talk about different tournaments that were going on and like what lists did well and all that stuff. So yeah, this is a great way to help support the channel grow, help create a good community. So let's get right back into it. And if you aren't a subscriber, please subscribe and leave a comment down below. And that's what helps you also get entered in to win the $25 gift card. So let's go ahead and talk about Yoda. Yeah, he has come down in price for sure. He's now 170. And they've brought him down because of guidance, which is his first keyword, which we'll go ahead and talk about. He's got guidance trooper. So, and if you are ever on Tabletop Admiral, which I have now switched to ever since from last year, I've come over to Tabletop Admiral. They have an app. It's really awesome. Even if you just donate $1 a month, you don't have to deal with ads. It's so nice. And then if you've ever got questions about any of the stuff that he's got keyword wise, you can come down here and click it and then get an idea of what it means. So, but first we'll go over guidance. So guidance is an action, and he can only guidance trooper units. He can't guidance vehicles, unlike Veers. Now with guidance is really cool. It's a non-attack action that you can give someone. You can have them recover, take a dodge, take an aim, take a standby. You can have them move. So you can do a lot of different things, and it's very helpful with the fact that a lot of the POIs require you to get there, or movement, or anything like that. So this really does help with objectives. Now, being able to guidance a recover, especially on maybe some commandos to get that shield back, or get rid of that suppression, is also really, really nice. Just to recover to get rid of suppression if someone's panicked is also really good. You can guidance, there's a list that I'll go over with Obi-Wan where you can guidance him to take a dodge, which if he's got offensive defensive stance, he can get 2 dodges and then continue to really do some work with protecting and other stuff like that. So yeah, guidance is really good. Now, the issue that they've now changed is you can no longer guidance a unit and trigger steady, charge, or relentless. So that's a huge, I would say, disadvantage now, a power level decrease. He's no longer over 9,000. It's a change. I'll just say that. So it kind of sucks, especially with his 2-pip. So now you have to kind of work around it. You're gonna have to focus on smaller things, no more crazy tricks. But hey, he still has guidance. He's still a very supportive Force user. The next up is Ataru Mastery. So anytime he is attacked, he's going to gain an aim. Anytime he attacks himself, he gets dodge. He can attack twice. So you can spend both of his actions to attack. He can spend one action to move, one time to attack. If he's got relentless, he can still, move, attack, and then he can move again and attack since he could do it twice. There's lots of fun stuff to do with Ataru, and if you can get him into melee, then he can really do some damage. It'll basically be 8 red dice, pierce 4 altogether if you can attack twice. Surges to crit, surges to defense, which is really nice. He's got 5 health, which is a little bit, but it makes sense for him and his stature. He's got 4 courage, which is amazing. He's speed 1, so you're going to need like burst, or you're going to need Chewbacca to kind of help him get up the field. He has deflect naturally. He's immune to pierce, which is awesome. And Master of the Force 2 really does help with 3 Force slots where you can really get creative with how supportive he can be. His lightsaber, like I said, is 4 red, pierce 2, impact 2, and then he has a ranged from range 1 to 2, which is really nice, blast and suppressive. So if you did have relentless again, you could like move with burst of speed and force wave somebody, and then you could move again into melee and relentless attack them. So there's lots of good stuff that you can do with him, like I was saying earlier. Now that's really a lot of it. I've done in-depth videos with him before, so if you want to check those out, a lot of it is not necessarily the exact same anymore, but there are a few tricks that I'm sure that you could learn. Like if you played the 2-pip with Chewbacca, let's see, I'll just go ahead and pull that up real quick, and let's see, Chewie and Yoda. So you have size matters not. Basically, if Chewie is at range 1 of a friendly Yoda and Yoda's on the battlefield, place Yoda in base contact with Chewie, and if you do, Yoda cannot perform moves, and after Chewie moves, place Yoda in base contact with Chewie. While Yoda's in base contact with Chewie, Chewie's going to gain deflect. You can spend Yoda's dodges for Chewie, and rolls red defense dice when defending or using Guardian, which is really nice. And if you do have to go with Yoda, you can guidance Chewie while you're still in base contact with him and move him. So he can basically get 3 moves and still wind up attacking. And then maybe you take a standby, or you do whatever you want with Yoda, and eventually you can use his Force Wave if you needed to attack, which is really helpful when you've got Chewie running you down the field, or if you've spent burst of speed and you needed to play this one, you'd be stuck if you didn't have this card. Or maybe if it was out of order and you weren't playing his 1-pip, or he's speed 3 at that point, he'd become speed 2. But yeah, if you had used burst of speed and then you use size matters not, it doesn't matter, because now Chewie is the one moving Yoda. Yoda's not doing any moves himself. And yeah, again, you can guidance him and get down the field a little bit farther, which is really, really fun. So yeah, let's go over a few different list ideas with him. The first one would be Yoda with Barrier, Battle Meditation, and Force Reflexes. He's going to be able to, use Barrier and Force Reflexes and recover those after each of his own activations are done. And Battle Meditation really helps to be able to give his 2-pip out to other people instead of just him and someone else. You've got Chewie with Protector and Recon so that he can get up the field a little bit farther and kind of protect Yoda a little bit more with the Protector. Being able to Guardian 2 crits off of Yoda just in case, because he can basically Guardian and cancel crit results as they were hit results, and since he's got Guardian 2, he can Guardian the 2 crits. You've got a Mortar Clone Trooper Infantry squad here, that way, because if Yoda needed to guidance the mortar clone trooper up, it doesn't trigger cumbersome because it wasn't during their activation that they moved. It was during another one. So then you can actually take an aim and then shoot, and be in range and not have to worry about anything. Or if you needed to shoot and then move again, so that way you get 2 moves and you still get a shot in. That's going to be a fun way to use the guidance. Another clone infantry squad with the Z6 and clone medic. The reason I have the Z6 in here is because of Yoda's 3-pip. With the 2 extra surge tokens, if you had, the clone infantry, when they get a surge themselves, you took an aim, you shot, and you got a few different surges. Well, you've got some aims and surges to use, so that way you still get a big dice pool and lots of stuff there. And a clone medic is really helpful when you've got either Chewbacca or Yoda in here. I've got another unit with Boyle, so that he can also help Guardian with red saves, and he's got his own surge that he can use. They've also got a mortar on here, and with Boyle, at least you have recon intel, so that you can get the mortar squad again at least a little bit farther up the field than if they didn't have recon. And a clone medic, so you've got a huge squad. Okay, maybe not a huge squad, but you've got a pretty decent normal squad here with 7 minis, and the medic, you have 2 medics in here, you've got 2 guardian units in here, so Yoda should be fairly safe, and or even Chewie should be kind of safe if needed. And then you've got 2 ARC troopers in here with the clone captain and targeting scopes. Now I've got the clone captain on here, and I think the clone captain goes a little bit better with Yoda because of his 3-pip, being able to hand out orders to everybody, so that way they do actually benefit from getting an order and gaining a dodge and being able to spend it for outmaneuver. And then you have targeting scopes on them because of the tactical. You've got 2 strike teams, so that you actually get a little bit more long-range weapons in here with more potential pierce, especially with, again, Yoda's 3-pip, being able to share aims. They can use that for lethal on top of their extra moves. And then you've got Delta Squad in here just to add a little bit more fun. And for even Yoda's 2-pip, you can give Delta Squad Relentless and have them get 2 aims and a dodge, being able to spend it for outmaneuver. They've also got offensive push in case you needed a 3rd aim for whatever reason, and they're rolling 2 black each. It's oppressive, unless you also wanted to use their config here to be able to get extra impact and scatter. Scatter's not that bad of an idea, especially if the next turn you don't give them an order. They're going to recover the offensive push and this gun anyway. So, and the scatter is going to actually help as well for Yoda, Chewie, or anyone else shooting them. Maybe what you did was you gave Delta Squad, maybe we're going to say he's on Yoda's 2-pip. You give Delta Squad Relentless, and you give maybe Chewie Relentless. What you do is you can double move Delta Squad and use the suppressive and scatter everybody else closer. Have Chewie just kind of charge in, especially if he's on his threshold for enrage. Maybe he's got that. So now you've scattered them, you've enraged them, so now you've pulled them a little bit, you've pulled the unit leader even farther to you, and so maybe Yoda can burst of speed in and also melee, and then you go with Chewie's 2-pip, and then put Chewie and Yoda together, and then move Yoda up the field even more, since you've used burst of speed at that point. Well, actually, we'd have to change a few, points around. Okay, so maybe we didn't do that. Maybe we got rid of that, and instead of force reflexes, maybe we did burst of speed. There, just to have some extra fun. You've got 3 points left. Maybe you give one of the ARC troopers here an impact grenade, just for some extra impact in here. And then, yeah, so like I said, that's lots of fun to be able to at least scatter everybody, use Chewie, get him into base contact, and melee them, and then use Yoda if he's been close to Chewie the whole time, kind of burst of speed in, and then go ham, use Chewie's 2-pip, and hopefully you finish them off. If you didn't, well, maybe don't use his 2-pip. At least go with Yoda first. Go with Yoda, melee, hopefully finish the squad because you've attacked twice, and then when Chewbacca goes, he can move Yoda a little bit closer, and then you use Yoda's 1-pip. So there's lots of fun things that you can do between, again, the 2 of them. And you've got lots of ways to lay down suppression between the mortar, 2 mortar squads, I should say, and some strike teams being able to hand out some suppression, and Delta squads having a suppressive weapon as well. So even you could have some battle plans that are even bring them to heal. Maybe you don't want like surface scan, and you want to bring them to heal. Boom, there you go. I've got Close the Pocket, Intercept, and Bunker Assault because you're going to be getting fairly close with all of these, which Yoda's really going to really like. And Advanced Intel, Fortified, and Cunning Deployment to be able to give the extra dodges, especially for Yoda's 3-pip. You know, giving Yoda an extra dodge on that turn is really nice. And then even giving it to the arcs because they've got outmaneuver, that'll really help them a lot. And obviously, Fortified and Advanced are pretty decent themselves as well. It's 10 activation, so not crazy, but you've got some pretty good units in here. Alright, the next one. I've got Yoda, Rex, and Bad Batch. Yoda's going to have Barrier, Battle Meditation, and Burst of Speed. Again, so that he can get rid of his order on his 2-pip. And then you've got Captain Rex with Improvised, Up Close and Personal, his Jetpack, and Recon. Now, I've got his Jetpack on here because, again, if you use Climb with Captain Rex, he doesn't gain the aim from Tactical. So being able to get an actual aim just to help benefit the rest of the clones is really, really nice. And then, obviously, with Gunslinger, you're going to get 2 dodges with Up Close and Personal. So, again, he's going to be almost like a token generator. Recon Intel so that he can give Bad Batch and Yoda, Scout 2, which is really going to help them get up the field, especially since you don't have Chewie. And Burst of Speed is also going to really help. And then you maybe follow up the Burst of Speed turn with Yoda's 1-pip next so that he can at least get Speed 2. And then you give maybe Scouting Party to, I've already said it to these guys. So that's really, really nice to have. You've got Bad Batch in here. Obviously, you're probably going to go with... All right, so here's the thing with maybe what card to go with first. Maybe you go with, Bad Batch's 3-pip and go ahead and give them the order so that they can kind of go last the best you can. And then round 2, you go with Yoda's 3-pip because he's got Exemplar, so he's going to, and with the Bad Batch, with We're Not Regs, they can't spend green tokens of other clone troopers, and Yoda's not a clone trooper, and he's got Exemplar at range 3, doesn't have to have line of sight, and lots of dodges, 2 dodges, 2 surges that the Bad Batch can also use on top of possibly Tech's Cash dodge. So you're going to be able to protect him a lot, plus you've got Barrier on Yoda at range 1, and again, you don't have to have line of sight, because it just says when another friendly trooper unit at range 1 is defending against a ranged attack, you can cancel. So it's almost kind of like having backup with the 2 hits or 1 crit, whichever one you've got. So I think Yoda does a lot with Bad Batch still, even though he can't guidance them and let them still get a steady shot off, still being able to give them an aim or guidance and aim on them, and then have the Bad Batch go and take another move, shoot. That's 3 aims still they'll be able to get. If you still needed to move them up so that they can actually still get a shot in, Yoda can guidance them, and then when it's Bad Batch's turn, they can double move again, so that way they've gotten 3 moves and then still get a shot in. Captain Rex's 2-pip is also really nice because you can also use Rex's 2-pip, maybe either the second round if you didn't want to use Yoda's 3-pip, or even the third round if you didn't want to get too aggressive with the Bad Batch first. Then maybe you kind of use his 2-pip to let them take an aim, move, get another aim if Tech's still alive, and then they could still get a shot off at range 3. Lots of fun things to do between Rex, Yoda, with the Bad Batch, and I think that's a fun thing to explore and lots of options. So not every game is going to kind of be the same. You can kind of change it up a little bit. You've got the two clone infantry squads with the DV-23 in case you wanted to give the clone trooper squad here Relentless so that they can double move, take a shot, and it is Pierce. So with Battle Meditation on Yoda's 2-pip, you give one to the clone trooper infantry and the other one to the clone trooper infantry with the DP-23. Since you don't have to give it to Yoda, they're going to gain a dodge and gain outmaneuver as well as, Relentless. So being able to do that. Plus, again, Rex's 2-pip with the DP-23, they can take an aim and extend their range to range 3 and take a shot, Pierce 1, which is, again, really, really good. So I really like that combo. You've got a naked clone infantry squad because you got to have 3. And then you've got 2 ARC troopers with the clone captain. So that, on Yoda's 3-pip, they also gain more dodges. And so you can get a little bit more aggressive with them if you needed to. So now you've also got on even Yoda's 2-pip, you've got 2 units with charge, 2 units with relentless, and Bad Batch has steady. Even, if you wanted to, you could eventually give Clone Captain Rex relentless. Maybe, you're on another round and you're able to use Yoda's 2-pip twice. If you've been able to kind of cycle it through correctly, then, giving Clone Captain Rex, with his range 2, surging to crit, allowing him to move, take 2 shots, gain 2 dodges. He's getting 2 aims, so he's got an aim for each, shot that he takes. Not bad. And then 2 ATRTs with the laser cannon, so that way you at least have some more anti-armor, since you're going to probably see a lot of crabs and or aqua droids on the table. The ATRTs with the laser cannon is going to come in real handy. And again, even the clone infantry squad with the DP-23 at range 3 with the 2-pips can be really good. So, and then surging to crit with Yoda and Rex is just outstanding. So it's a 10 activation list. There's definitely room for improvement here. Maybe being able to hand out aggressive tactics would be great. But again, with the amount of command cards you've got, you've got a Bad Batch command card. You've got maybe like 2 of Rex's. So maybe if you're planning on using Yoda's cards more often, then probably aggressive tactics on Yoda could be a good idea. But yeah, this seems like a fun list. If you do try this out, let me know. I'm pretty interested in seeing what you do. All right, we've got a Yoda and Obi-Wan list with Bad Batch. So I thought about this one, and I thought, what can I do to make the most defensive list possible that maybe seems annoying to your opponent? Very fun idea, right? Well, you got Yoda with barrier, force guidance, and force reflexes. So no burst, because he's almost a completely support unit who can protect. Maybe if you're doing like intercept, he can do the back lines on this one and kind of stay close to the end. And I think we've got some long range in here. Not really. Okay, well, having some long range with this is actually probably going to be a really good idea. Maybe if you decided to get rid of the ATRTs and put some... Well, I mean, that's so tough. That's so tough. Maybe if you got rid of Boyle and decided to put or Clone Medic and decided to put 2 Mortar Troopers, then you've got at least 4 range 4 units, and then you've got Crosshair. But Yoda having guidance and reflexes can guidance a surge token onto Obi-Wan and or Bad Batch, force reflexes for himself, force barrier to kind of help between Bad Batch and or Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan's going to have barrier and reflexes because obviously with the Sarisu, the force reflexes is going to give you a dodge where you can re-roll the Guardian defense dice. You've got 2 force barriers on here, so the Bad Batch should hopefully be well protected. You've got offensive defensive stance as well on Obi-Wan, so you should be able to move and then take a dodge, which will give you 2 dodges, and then force reflexes, which will give you 3 dodges. So you're pretty well dodged up. And you might even have a surge token from Yoda, just in case you needed that and you didn't want to re-roll or anything. You can also have Yoda guidance a dodge for Yoda, or you can use Yoda's guidance trooper to have Obi-Wan take another dodge, which would again give you 2 dodges. So now he's up to 5 dodges if you haven't spent one already. And that's without even having to use one of Obi-Wan's command cards. That's just without command cards in general. So then again, being able to Guardian the Bad Batch, hopefully this makes the Bad Batch last a little bit longer. Between barriers and Guardian, and Obi-Wan can back up Yoda and barrier Yoda if he needed to, because he's got the Guardian and Guardian Yoda. So there's a lot. I mean, you've got 2 very defensive kind of units here to protect whoever you need. I have R2 in here because you've got 3 ATRTs, so hopefully if those come in handy, because if they're not wanting to shoot Yoda, the Bad Batch, or any of your clone infantry squads, you have the ATRT armored ATRTs. That if they are shooting, you're using the R2D2 to bring back wounds. Well, if they're trying to shoot at the Bad Batch, you've got 2 force barriers. You've got Guardian 3 on Obi-Wan, and you've got Guardian 1 with Boyle and a clone medic. So I would say that your first 2 rounds, there's probably not going to be many people dying unless there's some big shots. So if you can get some shots off between the Bad Batch and the ATRT's laser cannon, and maybe the other ATRT's rocket launcher, there's a lot of stuff you could do there. And then between the other range 3 stuff here, it's not bad. But this one's probably planning on getting close because you have a flamethrower ATRT. Just in case anyone does want to get too close. And you've got 2 highly skilled melee units here. So, yeah, this is a lot of good stuff. It's 10 activations. You still have 2 points to do with what you want. So if you wanted to give somebody probably like environmental gear or grappling hooks, you could. Probably environmental gear on Boyle, just because you're definitely wanting him to get not hindered by terrain so that he can be close to the Bad Batch and ATRT, because the Bad Batch has scale, so they're going to be able to get over difficult terrain pretty easily. So you want to kind of keep them nearby. So yeah, this is a fun one. And then Obi-Wan's got jump, so he's not going to worry about it. Yoda is going to be really slow, for sure. And so you don't want to get too ahead of yourself with the Bad Batch on their 3-pip, because Yoda's going to have to spend a lot of time then moving rather than using guidance, which is really tough. And you can't fit Chewbacca in here because of Kenobi. So you're probably going to have to spend a round trying to just get him like moving rather than being able to benefit guidance and Obi-Wan combo thing there. Round 1, you're going to move. You're probably going to move. If not, you're probably going to guidance. And then round 2, you're definitely moving, trying to keep up with the Bad Batch and hopefully Obi-Wan. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that you're going to have to be careful there. And then you can use the ATRTs to also provide line of sight blocking to the Bad Batch. So if they're able to get anything through, you've got a lot of answers for it. So if there's a way to make this list even better, feel free, comment in the comment section, and just let me know if there's anything that you would change, or even on Discord if there's something that you would change. You can feel free to put it on here. It was a tough time to figure out what kind of command cards you'd want here. Obviously, the only 1-pips you can bring are Obi's and Yoda's. Knowledge and Defense is going to be the 2 pips, and There Is No Try is going to be pretty good. And with Knowledge and Defense, he's going to gain a dodge token for each other friendly trooper unit at range 1, and hopefully you at least have Bad Batch and Yoda nearby, so that's at least 2 dodges. And if maybe you had your opponent get aggressive with a Force user and try to get into the Bad Batch because they haven't been able to shoot the Bad Batch very well because of Guardian and Barrier. Maybe they try to get into melee and so that they can stop the shooting. Well, now you can use Guardian in melee because you're at range 1 of them, hopefully. And so, again, hopefully they're not getting hardly any damage into the Bad Batch. And yeah, so then we do what we do, obviously, because you kind of want the fact that they're going to have a really deadly turn. It's nice to have. And then Luminous Beings are we. Now, Kenobi's 3-pip, whenever Kenobi issues an order to a unit, that unit's going to gain a surge token for each other friendly unit at range 1 of it. So if you were to give it to Obi-Wan, Yoda, and... well, I guess you don't have to give it to Yoda. You give it to Obi-Wan, the Bad Batch, and maybe Boyle. So that way you've got a ton of surge tokens for defense, even offense if you needed. Because at this point, maybe Echo is gone and you don't really have any surge tokens to use, or maybe Tech is gone and you can only use surge tokens. There's a great way to be able to use it, but it's tough because you definitely want Luminous Beings are we, because you want to be able to have Yoda hand out even more dodges, aims, and surge tokens, and he can do this to the Bad Batch. So it's almost kind of like, I'd rather go with Luminous Beings are we so that we can recycle Size Matters Not, the 1-pip. And then with We Do What We Do, it's just nice to have. But if you feel like you wouldn't be able to get this off fairly early because of Yoda not being able to keep up, or maybe they're just too ahead, or um, something like that, then maybe Kenobi's 3-pip could be pretty decent along with Luminous Beings Are We. So that way they still get a lot of tokens. They might not get the extra reliable one. It doesn't matter because Obi-Wan's probably going to give them like 2 surge tokens instead. You don't get precise 2. Well, and you're not getting tactical 2. Well, then that's fine because I mean, sure, you've got an extra surge token, and yeah, it's just up to you, honestly. And the suppressive, I mean, it just I would just say if you get more aggressive with them, take it. If you're not going to get too aggressive too quickly with the Bad Batch, maybe swap it for Obi-Wan Kenobi's. And then another just kind of like one with another character. The last 2 that I'm going to go over are just trying to get higher activations, so it's really simple and easy. This one I've got Yoda with Barrier, Burst, and Battle Meditation. You've got, that way if you needed to give Pump Pam... God, I don't know why I keep messing this up. But if you wanted to give Padme Relentless with the Pierce gun that she's got at range 3, that would be pretty decent. She's going to have environmental gear, so that way she can keep getting across the board unhindered by terrain. And then she's got situational awareness because she's not going to have outmaneuver naturally. And then the fact that she has Agile 1 and Nimble is going to really help with the fact that she's getting some dodges, so that's going to help. I've got a clone commander in here for improvised in case you need it and to be able to give out some orders. I've got 4 clone infantry squads. One squad's going to have Waxer because it's easier to give an extra body for 20 points and recon intel instead of it being 28 points, it's only 20 points. And you get disciplined 1, which is nice to be able to take off the extra suppression when you need it, along with the mortar, so that you have Waxer scouting the mortar squad up. That way they can get into position by round 2. I've got a clone infantry squad with a Z6, and because of Yoda's, again, 3-pip, the Z6 makes a little bit more sense. I've got a clone infantry squad with Boyle, clone medic, and Z6, so you're going to have a pretty decent-sized dice pool with this one. And then not only are they going to have a surge token, but then you've got another clone infantry squad hopefully next to you with a surge token, and then you've got more aims and surges on Yoda's 3-pip for this turn if you need it. Another Z6, 3 Z6 squads. This one's got recon intel. Boyle's got recon intel naturally on him, so you got 3 units of your infantry squads that will be able to scout up this lone Z6 guy. If you wanted to change this just to be more support guy, you can make him a medic. Then you have 4 points left over if you wanted to get rid of environmental gear. And with those extra 4 points, there's not much you could really do except maybe give the clone Delta squad, emergency transponder for an extra aim whenever they don't get in order. And then you've got basically 3 commando squads, 1 Delta and 2 regular clone commandos. Maybe if you wanted to give just one of the regular clone commandos the emergency transponders, you could. You just got to remember which one it is, that way there's not too many points into Delta since they're not really immune to Pierce. So it's a little bit tougher. So that's why it's nice to have kind of the points spread out. And again, you can use Yoda's 2-pip to give Relentless to these guys and help them out. You could probably give it to Delta and Padme. That way Delta gets 2 aims and a dodge, and then Padme gains a dodge and Relentless. And you don't necessarily have to have situational awareness on her the whole time, but I think, if you're only going to be using Yoda's 2-pip once, then it's situational awareness is going to be great on her. If you use her twice out of maybe 4-5 rounds, at least she's safe. If that was the case, you can get rid of situational awareness on her and give emergency transponders to the other clone commando squad. And that way, they're always, at least, if they don't get an order, they have an aim. If they do get an order, they have an aim. Same with the clone commandos. If they don't get an order, you have offensive push. If they do get an order, you've got 2 aims. Okay? Because if they don't get an order, they recover, then you have offensive push again in the next turn. And with the complete the mission tokens, you've got plenty of ways to surge. offensive or defensively. So this is just a fun 10 act list that I feel like is pretty stacked. With, maybe using Yoda's 1-pip, at least you have a clone commander who can give out an order to like Boyle or Waxer or a clone medic squad or the other clone trooper squad here. And with this clone trooper infantry, they could be almost kind of like a dodge or aim generator for, clone trooper infantry stuff, or even for your clone commandos. Maybe they move and they take an aim. They'll at least be somewhat close if you go here, the clone commandos, when they infiltrate, and close enough to be able to use the aim from that clone infantry squad. And or maybe if you go with them like a little bit later, when you know that your opponent has long range stuff, you can use that clone medic to bring back one of the Delta Squad members. So yeah, lots of good fun stuff there. Okay, and just for some fun list, this is 11 activations. Yoda's going to have Barrier, Guidance, Meditation to get rid of his 2-pip, and Aggressive Tactics, because you're probably only using and bringing his command cards. So now you're going to be handing out more surges, especially on his 3-pip. On the 1-pip, maybe you, again, Guidance, your Battle Meditation to somebody else, and then have Yoda just go later, because now you have 2 commander tokens in the bag, so you can go with him kind of when you need to. Or again, with his 2-pip, you don't give it to him, you give it to somebody else, and not only do you give them a dodge, but you give them a surge token. Your clone commander is going to direct direct to 5s, hopefully, and then 5s can give that unit to any of the ARC troopers or Boyle or Waxer. Now, obviously, 5s doesn't have recon intel, which kind of sucks, but it's not like you can, put Waxer on here with 5s. But I have 5s on here because you've got a clone commander who can hand out some more tokens. If you wanted to save yourself extra points, you could basically get rid of 5s and maybe put like a clone captain on there and then put a heavy. Actually, you probably wouldn't be able to put a heavy. Maybe you get rid of the clone captain and instead you just go with a heavy here. That leaves you 16 points left. Maybe you give recon intel. That gives you 10 points left. You've got 3 ARC troopers, so maybe you give them impact grenades. Boom. So you're at 11.99. You've got at least lots of impact in here now. And you've got a clone trooper squad with a range 2 gun. If you wanted to, maybe even do the RPS. That way you at least have a range 4. Yeah, it is, cumbersome, but maybe if you needed to guidance them with Yoda, give them a move. They've got recon intel, so they're at least getting up the board a little bit more. And then you can move round 1, because you're probably not going to shoot. So now they're in position, and if your opponent's moving, maybe you can just guidance and aim, have them shoot, and then move. Or you can guidance a move, and then they can aim and shoot, depending on if they're going earlier in the round or later in the round. And then, like I said, the only reason I have Wax on there is to get an extra body and an extra dice on there. That's 20 points, which is usually what the rest of these guys are kind of like, but at least it gives you Disciplined and Scout, which is very important to have. Again, with Boyle and the Mortar, you're scouting up with the Mortar, so they're at least getting in a better position by the next round. You've got 3 good ARC squads with Clone Captain, so on Yoda's 3-pip turn, they all get a dodge, they all have outmaneuver, and then if they're at range 3, they can use even more of those dodges and stuff, so you can get a little bit more aggressive with them if you need to. And then 3 strike teams. You've got lots of range 4 and 5 on here between the RPS, the Mortar, your strike teams. So that way Yoda's a little bit more covered in a way. So there you go. And that's just, wanting a good clone squad, a decent clone army with Yoda. And then last but not least, Yoda with Battle Meditation, Barrier, and Burst of Speed to kind of get him up the board a little bit more. 3 naked clone infantry squads so that you can have more points for other things, like 3 clone captain arcs with impact grenades, 3 strike teams, and 2 clone commandos for 12 activations this time. Again, maybe giving the clone commandos Relentless, and then that way you've got 6, 7, 8 units with the ability to double move and still get an attack off if you're in the right conditions. So Well, I guess he doesn't. He's got better meditation, so that can happen. Yes. And yeah, that is really it. Again, this one is just kind of like you wanted a good clone army with just a very kind of support Jedi in the back who can, again, maybe not only guidance and move, but guidance and recover for clone commandos. Have the arcs guidance and move forward, so that way they can just, again, double move. And if you guidance the arc troopers for a move, well, that's going to generate an aim. Maybe you guidance the arc trooper strike team, so they get an aim. And then they then they move again, have a second aim, and then shoot. So now you've got one to reroll and one for lethal, or if you're me, you're spending both of them to re-roll. So yeah, that is just some fun ideas. If you liked any of these ideas, please subscribe, leave a comment. Feel free to play any of these. I think some of these should be very fun. And the description, or in the description, there are links to these lists. So that way, if you did want to try them out, or at least use it for like an outline for a list that you've got, or an idea that you've got, and maybe you want to change things around, feel free. And just let me know. But head on over to the Discord here, because it's awesome to be able to have a lot of guys, happy to talk. And then if you've got any other requests, TTS stuff, yeah, feel free to get on, hop on there. Head on over to the Clan of Shadows Patreon, where you can sign up and help the channel grow, and even help with the future website. And yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your day.